Welcome to the Community Collective Podcast, a flip-flop agent production in collaboration with the Davison Area Chamber of Commerce. I am your host, Johnny B. Good.
Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of the Community Collective. I am Travis Howe with the Davison Area Chamber, and I am excited today to have one of my good friends and a local resident who's been involved in so many things over the years, Lori Tallman. Lori, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, so have you had a busy morning so far?
It has been busy, yes.
I feel like every time I talk to you, you're on the go, whether it's to meet with a client or to court or township stuff, or you have something else going on in the community. So I appreciate you taking some time today and would love to start off with, and this is what I always enjoy talking to our guests about. Tell us a little bit about your background.
I'm born and raised in Davison, lived here pretty much my whole life. So, what we affectionately refer to around here as Davison Maid. I am an attorney. I've been an attorney for over 30 years, and I've had my own firm here in Davison for 23 years. I graduated from Davison High School. I went to Mott Community College and got an associate's degree. And then I worked for a local attorney while I was going to U of M Flint and got my bachelor's degree. I went to Cooley Law School in Lansing. And then I made a very conscious choice to move back to Davison and live in my hometown. I wanted to raise my family here and be able to work in the area. So that's pretty much kind of my background and my connection to Davison.
I think that's what I always love hearing about too, is for myself, I've moved up to Davison, and this is where we started our family. But I always enjoy hearing about people that were born and raised here and things that they still love, things that have changed, and just sharing about our history. I think it's something that I've always enjoyed learning about because I'm still so new to the area. So now, Lori, what type of things over the years you went to Mott and you in Flint? So during that time period, did you work someplace? Were you staying involved in the community, or was it? I know school is a full-time job sometimes itself. So what kind of things did you do while you were going to school?
First of all, I was just telling somebody this story the other day, but my first job that I ever had was actually working at an old business in Davison, Homer Hill Menswear, downtown Davison. I worked there one Christmas wrapping Christmas presents. So that's how I got my start. And then while I was in high school and my first few years of college, my mom owned a business in Davison, a paint and wallpaper store. And so I worked there for her. And then after I graduated from Mott, I worked for a local attorney in Flint, like I said, and I did that until I went to law school. When I got out of law school, I came back to Flint, worked for a larger firm in Flint. Then I went to a little bit smaller firm and then decided to go out on my own.
Wow. And I get it. It's family businesses are amazing. My dad was a small business owner. So that to me, I knew you did stuff in the Davison area, but I did not know that your mom owned a business. And I would love to have talked to her about that. I'll have to ask her about that next time I get a chance to see her. But it sounds like two businesses in the area that you were with. So that I think that's
Yep.
neat. So what have you seen with downtown Davison? It sounds like
You
the
know,
one was
what's
down there, and yeah.
Yeah, I've really watched not just downtown Davison, but all of Davison change over the years as most of us have that have grown up here. Actually, both of my parents, my dad also owned businesses in Davison over the years. Two of our children currently have businesses in Davison, along with me having my law firm here. So it's been really fun to grow up in this community in places like Homer Hill and other businesses that used to be located downtown on Main Street and watch other businesses in the area that have grown over the years that I have been longtime customers of. Things like I always tell my kids stories about when they were little. The post office used to be located a little more downtown. And I remember taking my kids in there and sitting them up on the counter. My kids, when they were little, always, we shopped at Reed Drugstore downtown and they would go in and always like to go in the back and talk to the pharmacists and get suckers and things like that. So it's just those stories and the kind of thing that I think a lot of us really enjoy about Davison, but also so important to have those family owned businesses in our community that really are the lifeblood of our community.
And that has to be amazing too. I know one of my things I always hope for is to be involved in a community to make it into a place where if my kids go away, they want to come back here. And it sounds like you're loving and experiencing that right now, where you're seeing your family starting their own businesses in the area, which that has to be such a wonderful thing to experience and to see them grow into that as well.
It is. It's difficult owning a business in this day and age, certainly, especially with COVID and those kinds of things. But both of our kids that have businesses here are both really following their passions and things that they're very committed to and very interested in. And it is fun to watch and see them do that. And it's exciting to see any new business in Davison. And a lot of them, if you really, I follow a lot of the things that you post on the chamber page and things and it's very interesting that so many of the people like Davison Pharmacy and some of the newer businesses are actually Davison people that have come back to this community to start their own business. And that's one of the things that I love about Davison.
Yeah. So now you mentioned all the experiences you've had practicing law and going to law school. But one thing I think probably people are really always interested to find out is what encouraged you or said, law is what I want to do. I want to go to school, study law, and then practice it. What encouraged you to do that?
My parents always say that they knew from the time I was about 4 years old that I was going to be an attorney because I like to argue. And I don't remember that part so much, but I think I'm a little different than most people. A lot of people, as they're growing up, go through a lot of different phases about different jobs that they think they might like to have or not knowing what they want to do. And I really knew from a pretty young age that I wanted to be an attorney. I was probably 12, 13 years old, and I remember watching a Perry Mason type movie on television. It was about a trial attorney, and I just literally clicked and I said, that's what I want to do. I've always enjoyed history. I enjoy researching. Most people would think I'm a rule follower. So it really was just a good fit. But I also really that it is something that allows me to help people. And very often I'm helping people that are having a difficult or challenging time in their life. And it's just a really rewarding experience.
Good. Yeah, that I think that would be the one I was so fascinated about is when I've talked to you or you talk to other local attorneys, so many different individuals coming in and talking to you, and you're there to help them, probably through a lot of difficult times and when they don't know what's going on and need someone they can count on. So I always find that interesting when you talk to someone who practices law and or works in an attorney's office. Is that's what you're there for? You guys are there to help people. Now, one thing is, I know you mentioned you have your own practice. If someone was interested in trying to find where your office is, what's the best way for them to reach out to you guys?
So I do have a website and it is attorneytallman.com. My office is located on Davison Road. I tell people I'm right next to VG's grocery store. I'm just to the east, across from John's Pizza. My information is on my website. People can contact us through email or through calling my office directly and speaking with my staff. And then a lot of times I get people who will stop me in the grocery store or downtown Davison and say, hey, I need to give you a call.
I think that's the nice part. Your office is in a great location, and I feel like it's someplace people have driven past or they recognize where it's at. And so that's I think the nice thing when they can find you. Plus,
Yeah.
you're also everywhere in the community, which I think that probably also is so nice when people can say, "Oh, hey, I know Lori for a couple years," or "Hey, you should go check out Lori's office. She could really help out." I think that's such an important thing in a small community like ours, is that your neighbors are recommending you. Your friends can say, "Hey, I can trust Lori. You should go there." And I think that's important to have in our area.
It is definitely one of the highest compliments that people can pay me. And it's one of the many reasons I think it's important to be involved in your community, especially as attorneys, as I've mentored other people in our profession. It's one thing that I encourage people to do because it's important to get out and support your community, but it's also helpful to people if they know you from other ways. If they do need your services, it's a little less intimidating for them and it makes it a little bit more comfortable for them.
Yeah. So now, outside of being an attorney, you're also a Davison Township trustee. So, what are some things, and I know this is a longer question, what are some things that you've enjoyed about that position? What are some things that you've learned during your time that you've served as a township trustee? So, fill us in. What do you guys do as a trustee?
I've been on the board now for a little over 2 years. It was really a new way for me to be involved. There's a lot of other things that I've done in the community over the years, and this was a new thing for me to try and a good way to help residents and my friends and my neighbors. The one thing that I really didn't realize or expect going into it, but it has really given me the opportunity to look at our community through a different lens. We all are part of our community and we're out meeting people and using services and patronizing businesses, but you don't really understand the behind the scenes, what it takes to operate a local government. And it's a very exciting time to be involved in Davison Township. We are very poised for growth and development. A lot of new businesses coming to our community. We're looking at things like a new township hall. So it's really, I've enjoyed it because it's a very exciting time to be involved and it's given me a new perspective from our community. I have definitely learned a lot as an attorney over the years. I've worked with municipalities a lot and represented municipalities in lawsuits and things like that. So I've always been a little involved with local government, but I've really learned a lot about the ins and outs of the operation and maintenance of a township and things like roads and water and sewer and what it takes to run a police department and parks and code enforcement and elections. I've definitely learned a lot and I've got a lot more learning to do, but it's very exciting and interesting.
It does. It seems like such a wide scope of things that you have to be aware of. Yeah, like you said, water and sewer, you have parks, you have new buildings and businesses coming in. So I don't know how our township board and our trustees keep up with everything. And as a trustee, that's just a part-time job. You are working full-time and doing that. So you're constantly serving our area, which is, I think, amazing to see and rare to see, and people that can do so much. So that, I think I'm always fascinated to see what people's schedules are like when you talk to them.
Yeah, it definitely keeps me busy at times, and being new to the board, there is a little bit of a learning curve. So sometimes, in the beginning, you kind of have to put in the extra effort to learn things and just understand vocabulary and terminology and how systems work and that kind of thing. But we have a great staff in Davison Township. Everybody's very helpful, and there's a lot of resources available to local government officials that serve. So, a lot of education that's available, and it's definitely been interesting.
Yeah. So another thing that I know that you're really involved with is Miss Davison.
Yeah.
So fill us in on your history with that, or what's going on in it. If I think I've seen it, you have some events coming up with that too this year.
Yes, we do. So,
Okay.
I've actually been involved in a lot of different ways in the community over the years. When my kids were younger, I was involved in schools and PTO. I still sit on the board for the Davison Educational Foundation. Over the years, I've actually been involved with the chamber and the chamber board. I, for a number of years, also served on the Davison Community Fund. But the thing I've definitely been involved with the most and the longest has been the Miss Davison pageant. I've been involved with that for over 40 years. My involvement really started, I was a former Miss Davison, so that's what got me started. And then I just continued on with the program, and it's been a very rewarding experience for me. When I was a young teenager and I was involved in the program, I know how much confidence it gave me and how much it helped me. Even today, as a township trustee or when I was running for office and working as an attorney, there are a lot of things that I learned in my time as Miss Davison and being involved in that program that are skills that I use today. And that's really the primary focus of that program is to help the young girls in our community gain a skill set that is going to allow them to go out into the world and into the workforce and maybe own their own business someday and be strong, successful, empowered young women. It's been a great thing to be involved in. And we do have our Miss Davison pageant is going to be June 22nd, which is a Thursday. It's the last day of school. It will be at 7 o'clock in the Davison High School auditorium. We are currently one day away from our entry deadline. So we have a good group of young ladies, I think, this year that are going to participate. And we also have a Princess program, which is a non competitive program for little girls age 5 to 10 in the community that allows them to have a mentorship relationship with the teenage girls and also allows them an opportunity to be on stage and they get a crown and a sash and get to have their little moment as a princess.
And I think that's great to see because I think we've all have seen Miss Davis and girls out in the community being leaders. They're involved. They're showing up at community events and they're volunteering everywhere. So, Lori, is that part of the process for them to, when they say, "Hey, I really want to do this," that is, a lot of these young women are excited to be involved in the community and to learn from previous individuals that have been involved as well, I'm sure.
Yes, one of the many areas that they are judged on does involve their community service and their scholastic involvement. So things that they're involved in school or church or their community and other organizations. That's one of the areas that the judges focus on. And then we usually try during the time that leading up to the pageant to have the girls involved in some events. We've talked with you actually about doing some things in connection with the Festival of Flags this year. And then, like you said, our Miss Davison and our two court members travel around mid Michigan actually for a year, going to different festivals and parades and events, promoting our community outside of Davison, but then they also are involved in many events within the community. They help out at the festival, they help out at Pumpkin Fest. They're usually in the Christmas parade. We had the girls at the Chamber Fleece and Thank You event this year. We like to have them. In the past, they've worked with the Chamber on the scholarship silent auction that you guys used to do. So we try to instill in them that sense of giving back to your community and promoting your community. And I think when you do that with them at a young age, that's something that tends to stick with them throughout their life. And they're going to want to serve any community that they live in.
Yeah. So now I'll change it up a little bit. It's through all the stuff that you're involved in, and you're always on the go and busy between work and your volunteer time. And as a trustee, two questions. What do you still enjoy? What do you enjoy most about our community? And then what do you do to relax a little bit, just to kind of zone out from everything sometimes?
The thing I enjoy about our community is really that although, like we talked earlier, Davison has definitely grown a lot in the time that I've lived here, but it still has that small town atmosphere and that small town sense of community. Everybody is very friendly and very supportive and very willing to help out. But I like that you go to the grocery store or you're downtown Davison or you take your grandkids to the park and you very often see people that you know. So it's just fun being in a community that still has that small town neighborhood feel to it. That's probably the thing that I enjoy the most. What do I like to do in my spare time?
If
Don't
you
have a
have any.
lot of it.
Yeah.
The short answer I would say is water. I'm blessed that our family has a place up north. Both of my parents actually have places on the water. Northern Michigan is great for that. And we like to gather as a family, our large extended family up there and spend a lot of our summers up there. So That's a lot of fun. I do like to read a little bit in my spare time and having our kids in the area, and I have one granddaughter, so we like to spend time with them as well.
Good. Wow. I know that thing that probably is probably one of the most rewarding things right there is when I've talked to you is every time I feel like you have a new story about your cute little granddaughter, which I love. And I've had a chance to meet her and she's the sweetest thing. But that has to be a wonderful thing to have her here growing up in this community and getting involved with your family, but also enjoying that time to relax on the lake or just going out and doing something fun. Lori, I really appreciate you taking some time today to talk with me, and I know our listeners will be excited to listen to this episode of the Community Collective. And thank you so much for all that you do in our community. And I know I always look forward to seeing you around town and catching up with you.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me on today. And likewise, Travis, we certainly appreciate everything that you and the chamber does for this community and for both the residents and the business owners in the community. And I think it's one of the things that makes Davison so great.
Thank you, Lori, and you enjoy your afternoon.
I will. You as well.